Welcome to our Savvy Woman Show. I'm Catherine Magana here with Rachel Ivanovich from Savvy Woman Wealth Management, where we educate and enlighten women to be knowledgeable investors. This Savvy Woman Show is dedicated to meeting other women, other female entrepreneurs, authors, and much more. We love hearing stories, their experiences, and we hope by sharing this that our listeners gain some valuable insights. So we're excited to have a special guest with us today.
So today we are going to interview Rachel Arbuckle, the owner of 2000 Paces Photo Organizing. And so this morning I was looking at your website, Rachel, and it's fantastic. There's a beautiful video on it, and it really tells the story. And so we would love for you to just start to share a little bit about how you got going in your business, because I think is really timely right now. And unfortunately, yeah. But the video you did, it made me tear up. So please do share.
Well, thank you for taking a look, and thank you to both of you, Catherine and Rachel, for inviting me. It's such an honor to amazing, powerful, strong, independent women, and it's an honor to be by your side. So in 2014, there was a tremendous fire, very similar to, not to the degree, but it was a pretty tumultuous time in San Diego County, and there were fires everywhere. And this particular fire started about 100 yards from our home. And although I grew up in San Diego for most of my life, I'd experienced evacuations. You know, you get your buckets, you get your bins, and you start putting things in the car, and you wait for them to say evacuate, and then you come back and you unpack everything. This time was different, because my neighbor knocked on the door, pointed the fire, which we could see clearly from our front door, and we ran inside and grabbed what we could. And we live in a gated community, so there was this bottleneck of people trying to get out. And I remember sitting in my car, looking in my rearview mirror, and I could see the fire behind us. We had no time. We went, to an evacuation center, and we were looking up at this fire, and all I thought about was our photo memories. Our furniture can be replaced, the walls can be replaced, but the memories couldn't, that were in videos and photos. So I had, my grandfather's World War II memorabilia, my parents' childhood photos, all these things, because I was the memory keeper in my family, right? There's usually one of us. And I looked up at this fire and thought, if our memories survive, and they did, I need to find a way to preserve them, because I didn't want to experience that anxiety and fear that we see on TV right now with the Palisades fire and the Eaton fire.
Well, it's interesting with these fires that came in LA, that all of a sudden I was thinking to myself, if you only have a few minutes to get out of the house, and I was starting to think, where's that drive we have, that backup drive? Like, I don't even know where it's at. Yeah. And so, like you said, or do we back it up, or we have this drive, and I don't even know. And you're right. Like, when you're forced into moments of, disaster, right, that, what do you have in place? And I definitely feel, especially now, it's timely. I think it's really front of mind for a lot of people. And you actually experienced it yourself, it sounds like, with those other fires.
Luckily, I didn't lose anything in the fire, but some members of our community did, as we all know. And so just seeing these people and hearing them on TV saying, I was at work, I didn't even have time to come home and get anything. Sometimes I'll talk to people and they say, well, I've got things like you, Catherine, on a hard drive. So I just have to grab that. Or, you know what, I've got all my photos in one location. I'm not worried about it. But what about the people that couldn't get home in time? So it's having that online backup and knowing. And so that was what, if you will allow me, sparked this company, because I couldn't find a solution that I thought our photos deserved, so I created one.
So tell us about your background prior to this, because you have a pretty fascinating kind of background.
Yeah, it definitely, my journey did not lead me here directly by any means. I think many of us can relate to that. So I was in the Navy right after high school, and so I served in the United States Navy for 6 years. So I'm a proud U.S. veteran. I got my undergrad and master's degree while I was in the military, and then following subsequent years, I got both my degrees in geographic information systems. Okay. So I worked at Sandag, worked with ESRI, worked for some environmental consulting firms. And although I loved what I did, I'm a people person, and I was just sitting in front of a computer, click, 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 and it just wasn't working. So I hired a headhunter who got me into the insurance world and wealth management, ironically enough. Okay. And I worked for a couple companies. My last company was with CBiz, working on the marketing and sales of their wealth management. And that's when this fire came and just completely changed my life.
So one of the things I really love about your business, and you've been in business, what, 10 years now?
About that.
10,
yeah.
okay, is that you do have a step-by-step strategy. And it really resonates with us as planners.
Right.
And, and one of the things I loved seeing on your website is that you really take a similar approach to what we do with planning, in that you listen to your clients' goals, you make sense of, their data that they have, you collect all of the drives and the digital and the print and so on and so forth. And so you make sense of that collection of whatever. And so similar to when we're working with clients and they've got 401ks all over the place, or bank accounts, and, help me make this, simpler. You do something similar, and then you develop and implement a strategy for them. And so I thought that was really, really interesting to kind of draw that parallel, that's your process as well, that you truly, then you inventory, you consolidate, you transfer. I mean, we do something similar when we help our clients. So tell us a little bit about your process.
Yeah, absolutely. That's really funny. I didn't really think about that, but it totally makes sense, right? What we're trying to do, very similar to both of you, is clients have goals. They feel overwhelmed by their collection, in your case with finance and taxes, and I've got all these things, but I don't quite understand them, and they're all over the place. So it's the same with photo memories and videos. The idea is we have a chat with our clients. What is your goal? Everything we do is customized. We're not a big box company you send stuff to when we have a specific strategy. What are your goals? Now let's gather all the things, whether they are sitting in boxes in grandma's house in the attic, or in your own closet, or online sites. You could have photos on Shutterfly, Google Photos, Apple Photos, CDs, floppy disks, all the things. We gather it. Where is everything? We gather it together. We consolidate it into one place. And then from there, the magic really starts to happen, right? We get rid of the duplicates. We get rid of the non-storytelling photos, the ones where you took a photo because you thought this fabric would be great on your couch, or a field trip slip for the kids, right? Or just you accidentally clicked it 20 different times and got a picture of your foot. Once that's done, we rename all the files. So instead of IMG_1234, we name it something meaningful, which is the date taken. And then from there, we add keywords and facial recognition, allowing you to actually find and enjoy your photos. So I always tell people we have 2 goals for our clients. So in addition to your own goals, our 2 goals are, 1, preserve and protect these memories so they can be enjoyed for generations. So they're protected from the fires in LA. They're protected from the floods in North Carolina. And the second goal, though, is to organize them in a way that you can actually find them. So you can type your kids' names, you can type a keyword like birthday, and find all those photos. And then from there, we create an online photo site and photo books and all the fun stuff that allows you to really enjoy them and focus on making the memories while we focus on organizing them.
So it reminds me of kind of that next level with, we do estate and legacy planning. This to me is like your legacy. Like here, what are you creating to give to your family and generations? And so
it's a way to preserve the memories for decades.
Absolutely.
And so I think, sometimes you think, do you do it when somebody passes away? Because you're like thinking, okay, now they're gone, I want to preserve that. Or do you do it beforehand, or maybe a combination of the two? It's just one of those things. I think it really probably resonates when something it comes up in life.
Well, absolutely, and I'm sure you all experience the same thing. You've got a client you've been working with for a while, or maybe somebody who just says, "I've had a loss. What do I do?" Now we've got, what about estate planning? What about the finances? And that's when it comes to fruition. But it's, I imagine, for you a lot more difficult if the person who unfortunately has passed didn't set up a plan. Now it's going back and trying to figure it out. Well, that really applies to photo organizing, because you're absolutely right, Catherine. It is about that legacy. And so unfortunately what ends up happening is we often have clients who have lost a mom or a dad or a grandparent, and they come in with boxes of photos and they say, in 2 weeks, we've got a celebration of life.
Help us.
Right, and help us. And of course we can do that. But boy, if they had come to us earlier, it would also be a lot less stress on them, because they could simply call us and say, hey, can you add facial recognition for this person, and throw together a photo slideshow, which we do. And it's ready to go. So it is about that planning. It is thinking ahead. And for those that have boxes and boxes of albums and envelopes and boxes of memorabilia, that is going to get passed down to somebody. Mm-hmm. Wouldn't it be wonderful? What a phenomenal gift to have that all organized and online and ready to pass on so that, they don't have to deal with that anxiety and stress similar to what you provide.
It's a lot like financial and estate planning.
It really is. Wow. It really is intertwined quite nicely.
So you're really passionate about this, I can tell.
But just a little bit.
I think you also do photo restoration. Is that correct?
We do. Yeah, absolutely.
So talk a little bit about that. I think I saw an old photo that someone had that you couldn't even recognize the person in the photo, and it just turned out absolutely beautifully.
Yeah, oh, that's a beautiful story. I mean, it's one thing that I love about what we do is, although there's heartache and pain when there's a loss, we keep tissues everywhere in the office, but there's tears of joy where you can reconnect with some memories. And so we had a gentleman a few months ago, is probably the one you're thinking of, and he was generous enough to allow us to post his story. And he unfortunately is losing his eyesight. After years of giving back to the community and really being a mentor in the Hispanic community, just a really phenomenal person. And he had this portrait of his wife, and they'd been married for decades. Just a beautiful, beautiful story. They got married very young, and it was just incredible. And he had this very large painting, and he didn't realize that the painting had deteriorated so much. And his wife finally said, "You've got to get that down or do something with it." And he went to a few places, and they said, "We can't." It was an oil painting. They said, "We can't do anything for you." And he was referred to us. We digitized this painting, and we were able to restore it back to its natural beauty. We got it printed, got it professionally framed for him, and he was so grateful. He could see it, his wife could see it, and they could actually enjoy. So absolutely, it's reconnecting with those memories and restoring them. So it's a good lesson to people if you've got some photos that are really special and they've got some water damage or something, don't lose hope.
Being a business owner, can you share maybe some lessons that you learned over the years, like maybe some tips or something that you wish you knew beforehand, or some things that came up kind of along the way?
Oh, wow, that's a great question. So many things I wish I'd known about ahead of time. Anybody thinking about starting a business, run. No, I'm kidding.
It's worth it in the long run, but it's a lot of work.
I mean, it's so rewarding, right? But it absolutely has its challenges. I think in looking back, I would say one of the biggest challenges that I've experienced is that many people don't even know this industry exists, right? You might have some people listening and they think, wow, you can actually hire somebody to help preserve and organize your photos. And so that was a big challenge initially. We had no blueprints. We couldn't emulate or duplicate a template or anything. So there were a lot of challenges in the beginning because I started with a piece of paper where I took notes, and that became our standard operating procedures. And now we've got 350 pages, but there was nothing to copy. We're creating our own project plans and onboarding, and it's so I think that kind of looking at the scope of what you have to create and what's out there, and if you're entering into an industry that is in its infancy stage or doesn't have a lot of resources, to really think about and take a pause to think about where the priorities are, what do we need to create. Had I done that at the time, the order in which I did things may have been different. Maybe I would have created a better operating system or project management system or a new database system. Intertwined with that is I needed to have those experiences.
To learn from it, right?
You absolutely. I mean, so now.
You're a pioneer.
Yeah. Right. Thank you. Thank you. That's such a generous compliment. I was not my intent to create something so special in this industry, and it kind of happened. But I think looking at those, instead of looking at things as a failure, I have transition my thinking to look at things as an opportunity to grow. And I know that sounds so cliche, and it's something that maybe out of the back of a book, but it's true. There are so many times that I'd experienced something, maybe a client misunderstood something, or we didn't hit certain KPIs, that kind of thing. But rather than look at it as a failure, I said, okay, well, what do we need to change? It looks like we need a better workflow. It looks like we need a flow chart. It looks like we need better training. So I think just realizing that we are going to have downfalls. There are going to be bad days. You can have 20, what is it? The life of an entrepreneur is up, down, all in the same day. So accepting that, I think, is something I wish I understood sooner.
So what do you do for fun? Besides this, because I can tell you have a lot of fun doing this.
I do. I love it. It's always on my mind. I don't know if that's healthy or not, but the truth is, it's when we're talking about photos, I'll see, for example, the LA fires, and I see all the people talking about losing their memories. Or I'll sit on the plane and somebody, will show me their phone and say, "Oh, here's my grandkids." Aww. And there's always this connection with photos and memories. And so I have to admit, it is something I really enjoy and is on my mind a lot. But I am happily married to my very best friend in the world, and we love spending time together, and we have 2 incredible kids. We love to travel. It's our goal to go on an international trip every year. So we really enjoy doing that. I do want to start hiking again. It's something I used to love doing, hiked Half Dome 3 times, and just really, really enjoyed that. So getting outside and
it's an incredible
taking
part
a
of
breath.
the world.
Yeah.
I was just there in October.
Oh, you were? Oh, it's the best.
Love it. Yeah,
It's the best.
we
It's my
hiked the
happy
falls.
place. Yeah.
So how then do you manage kind of life and business and having that balance?
Oh, gosh, can somebody figure that out?
I know, right? I know. Like, tell me the secret.
Yeah. Call in if you have the answer. No, it is tough. It's something that I personally struggle with. I have always had a very strong work ethic. I actually had a newspaper route when I was 10 years old. Then I babysat when I was 13, and I worked at Baskin-Robbins when I was 15, and I haven't stopped since. So I've always worked, and I've always given the extra, but it is tough. You do have to find that time. And so Rachel and I were chatting earlier, and I shared this past weekend on Saturday, I was working all day trying to get some stuff done and was excited about it. And I knew my husband was going out of town Monday, and I said, listen, babe, Sunday is going to be our time. And it's really dedicating that time, I think, to say, I need to take this time to unwind, to put my phone on Do Not Disturb, and to be present in the moment. Right. There are many times that maybe I'd go to my daughter's water polo match or something like that, and my mind would still be on work. So it's turning things off both physically and mentally.
It's interesting.
That's her
my
word.
word for the year is present. So being present, like, oh, that's my
Yeah.
word. So yes, I do completely can relate to that.
Yeah, because it is different, right? And it's and we're so we are entrepreneurs, all of us, and we do it because we love solving puzzles and coming up with solutions.
Relationships.
And relationships, absolutely. And when we see our clients and they're so thrilled with what we've provided, it's very, very rewarding. And it's hard to turn that off because I think that's just kind of who we are.
It's providing solutions as well. And I think that is, you're providing a solution to them losing, what am I going to do? What do I do with all my photos? How do I, preserve them? So you are solving a problem for them.
I hope so.
And I think that really warms your heart.
It does. Yeah. It does. I mean, what we're all doing is so meaningful, and to finding a solution for anything, even if it's, getting your sink fixed or something, just knowing that you have a solution and that you can check something off your list.
Well, and you're helping them create a legacy. And that's really, I think, what a lot of people really want to know, that their life had meaning.
Well, absolutely. And it's interesting because we had a client who unfortunately was terminally ill and didn't have kids to pass her legacy onto. But she didn't want the memories of her family to fade away. And so she hired us to organize and digitize memorabilia, photos, but birth certificates and yearbooks and things like that. And then we have a professional genealogist on our staff as well. And so we are giving that stuff to her so she can post it online at Family Search and Ancestry and Permanent so that other families can enjoy. So she's doing this so that her legacy survives and to help other people. So it's this gift that so many people can enjoy for years to come.
So what's the best way to contact you, or maybe share your website or phone number, or what's a good way to, if somebody has an interest in your service or learning a little bit more about it?
Yeah, absolutely. So we do offer free phone consultations because we recognize everybody's journey is different, and the way we organize your photos is going to be as unique as the journey that created it. So our website is 2000paces.com. So 2000 Paces is in the Old Testament, and it represents a day's journey, and we're trying to capture our client's journey. So that's where that name comes from. So it's 2000paces.com, or they can call us directly, 760-290-3957, and you can text that number too. So if you have some questions, it's a free opportunity to just learn about how we can help. And, if we end up just providing you some tips because you do it yourself, that's a lot of fun for us too.
Great. Well, thank you.
Yeah.
So we talked about earlier, there's a lot of related things that we do, planning, and you do legacy planning with photos.
Sure.
But there's also, times where we have a lot of clients that are inheriting some money from a spouse or a family member, and a lot of the times we're helping them navigate through that. But I think incorporating, like you said, the memory part of it, I think is, it does go hand in hand. So definitely, it sounds like you're a good resource for us going forward.
Absolutely.
So Rachel and I do offer a Savvy Series podcast. So in addition to our Savvy Women show where we get to highlight some amazing women, we do weekly Savvy Series where we talk about different topics such as retirement, inheritances,
Goals.
and goals, and much more. Yes,
Goals.
Exactly.
Core values.
And so, Rachel, we want to thank you for a great interview and for really taking the time of sharing your business and your heart and your experience. It's been a great pleasure getting to know you a little better today.
You're a wonderful person. We're really happy to know you.
Oh, thank you. I'm just glad that we're all trying to help our clients find solutions so that they can enjoy their memories and the money in a really healthy way.
Absolutely. So every show we leave you with an inspirational quote. Best things in life are the people we love, the places we've been, and the memories we've made along the way. So thank you again, Rachel.
Love that.
So we've come to the end of the Savvy Women Show. Rachel Ivanovich and myself, Catherine Magana, want to thank you for joining us. And remember, knowledge is power for successful investing. Never stop learning and savvy up. Please stay tuned for important regulatory disclosures.
Savvy Women Wealth Management is an SEC registered investment advisor. The opinions expressed in this program are for general informational purposes only and are not intended to provide specific advice or recommendations for any individual or on any specific security. It is only intended to provide education about the financial industry and how we may be able to assist. To determine which investments may be appropriate for you, consult your financial advisor prior to investing. Any past performance discussed during this program is no guarantee of future results. As always, please remember investing involves risk and possible loss of principal capital. Tax considerations presented may not be appropriate for every individual circumstance. A tax professional should be consulted before making any decisions about your tax liability.